Good morning. We're in the third section of Psalm 119. The third section is the third letter of the Hebrew alphabet. It's this beautiful acrostic poem, and it contains in it a few verses that, if you were like me, you perhaps learned, maybe while you were young, and that you still think about quite a bit and pray. Let me read it for you, starting in verse 17. Be good to your servant while I live, that I may obey your word. Open my eyes, that I may see wonderful things in your law. I am a stranger on earth. Do not hide your commands from me. My soul is consumed with longing for your laws at all times. You rebuke the arrogant who are accursed, those who stray from your commands. Remove from me their scorn and contempt, for I keep your statutes. Though rulers sit together and slander me, your servant will meditate on your decrees. Your statutes are my delight. They are my counselors. There's two things that I love here. Number one, I do love the posture. So we know that the Bible can be a hard book to read, and we know that there's some complexity to it. We know that it was written in ancient languages. We know that it has figures of speech that are hard to understand, stories that are hard to understand. Sometimes we're not sure if the story teaches us something from a negative or a positive example, right? There are lots of different writers, lots of different times, lots of different cultures represented there. It's complex. So what we need is really God's help, because not only is it complex, it's quite simple. It's God's progressive revelation of himself, of his character, of his will, of who we are, of how we're supposed to live, of why we are the way we are, of what our future holds, what's meaningful now. And so if you think about it, it's just like God progressively over time through people and peoples and culture began to reveal more and more, leading up to the person of Jesus Christ, who is the fullness of God's revelation. So we have to take the posture as we read it in its complexity of asking God to help it be more simple. And so he prays here, open my eyes that I might see wonderful things in your law. It may be that every day before you open the scriptures, you just say that very simple scripture. Open my eyes, God, today. I don't want to just read it. I want to move beyond paper and ink. I want to move beyond just my own thoughts or what others tell me this text means, and I want to hear from you. What do you have to say? We believe it's a living document, that God has something to say in every age through the written word. That's why Paul calls it God-breathed. It is alive to us in any one moment, and God can use it for teaching and training and correcting for righteousness. That's what Paul says to Timothy. And so we treat it the same way. So why not, as we begin the study, ask God, would you help me see? Would you help me see the wondrous things that are in your law? The other thing I'll just comment on is he calls God's written word his counselors. And I love that. I think that we have access to wisdom, enduring wisdom, tested, a deliberative wisdom that has been passed down from generation to generation, so that these words can counsel us in the same way they've counseled scriptures, people throughout time, Hebrews and then Christians. Let us look to the scriptures to be our counselor in these days. Grace and peace to you.